Mossy Gardens. I'm Mike Toomey, and today we're going to take a lap around our garden. I want to give you a little mid-June garden tour. We do have a lot going on in the garden. We have several projects that we're working on, but I wanted to just take a little break, a little Sunday break, and tell all you fathers that are watching, happy Father's Day, and let's just kind of share with the garden. Now, I'm going to pause this channel every once in a while. It's early morning, but a lot of families are starting to get out and move around, and our suburban property can get a little bit loud, especially towards the east side, because we have a lot of folks that do things early in the morning in their garden. On the west side, I don't even know that there's anybody living in any of those homes. There are, but it's pretty darn quiet. So anyway, so if there's a couple breaks in the flow of our channel, just be patient. We are working here in our little suburban lot. So anyway, I'm a creature of habit. We're going to start at the front sidewalk and work our way through. I know a lot of people are super interested in our back garden, but we'll start up at the sidewalk and so you can kind of get the energy as you walk through. So let's get started. Okay, friends, as promised, we're just going to start right here in our front yard. Those of you who know, our home is the only home that faces the south. All other homes face east and west. So that is the backyard to our first neighbor. And of course, this is our backyard, the neighbor's backyard as well. So kind of a unique setting, but all these homes drain into our landscape, especially in the backyard. So that's how all this garden space all came about. All this property came about from water issues. And then if you look, they have a 6-foot fence. However, because they set so much higher than the grade of our property, it's like looking over a 4-foot fence because they can look right down onto us. So that's how we ended up coming through here and putting all these walls of evergreens, deciduous trees, shrubs, evergreens. Like I said, it's just a lot. So that's a kind of a backstory. Feel free to jump in and catch up on the channel if you so like. But right here, we'll just start. We are going with the theme of yellow in our front landscape this year. We've never actually... Yellow seems so simple, but simple is, simple does. So I went ahead and went with a lot of yellows in the garden, such as these marigolds here. And we wanted to kind of brighten it up a little bit. We've got some St. John's wort that we'll get over to. We've got yellow petunias, black-eyed Susans. We just got a lot of yellow, and I thought this would be a good pop of color in some of this dark shaded canopy area throughout the garden space. So this will be our first year doing that. Typically we add a whole bunch of different color, but I feel like we've got a lot going on anyway, so we just thought that would kind of glow. We as in my wife just goes along with the punch. Right here we have some dappled willow. We've got 2 of them right here, which do really well. The water drains off. These are 2.5 years old, I think, in that space. One, we had to cut out a little spot right there. So if you're wondering, that is dappled willow. When we get over to the rest of the landscape, there'll be some more dappled willow, which it's about 6 years old, and it's very, very full, very, very sharp looking. As we continue, there's different garden spaces everywhere we go. These are green giant, I think they're green giant boxwoods. If not, I will put up a correction. These are Leyland cypress. Those of you who know or want to know or are getting ready to build you a wall of trees and you want something that, you know, is disease resistant and whatnot. I learned this a long time ago. Don't use all the same tree as your hedge if at all possible, because if anything ever comes in and takes one out, it's going to take the rest of them out and you'll lose your whole wall. So lesson learned. But as you look at these, the reason why I brought that up is because there are some darker spots in there. We have no issues right now. There's nothing wrong with these. There's just Leyland cypress tend to do this, especially the less sun some of these branches get. So inside these trees, I can go in and remove a lot of the brown, and that's probably something I need to do. Right below us, we have this little stone pathway. I picked that up at our local nursery. It really looks good on the other side of the garden. Right here, we're transitioning into the Bayou. So those of you who know, we put out a couple videos and we created a little Kansas Bayou back here. We'll get back there here shortly, but I just wanted to let you know that this is still a work in progress. We have a bunch of hedge posts that we picked up from Topeka, Kansas. These will go into another part of the garden space here soon. Right now, this is my holding spot. We do have some things that we planted in here, like these hydrangeas right here. This is a limelight. It would prefer I replaced it and put it somewhere else in the garden with a lot more sun. When we planted this garden up, this thrived right here, but now it's getting, this is about as much sun as it's gonna get this morning and for the full day. So it would probably thrive and go crazy like limelights do. So right now it's just a little bit behind. And then of course we have a something queen. I think look at the leaf size. Something queen, but you can see here we have a ton of beautiful blooms on here, and this will really get going. I did have to kind of remove and cut back as we created this little bayou. A lot has gone on since our last tour. Right here, black lace elderberry, if you can imagine. These get, you know, I think something like 8 to 12 feet tall, and that's just what the label says. In right conditions, it can get even more. It loves the sun, and right here in this space, it's gonna get pretty much baked all day long. But if you can imagine, it's gonna canopy this way, and it's gonna be a really, really sharp look, especially, and I haven't told you guys, but I've got another process to get this, this door as whimsical and inviting as possible. That mystery from the sidewalk to there, I really wanted to draw you in. So there's more to come on there. Of course, right here, we have a Japanese maple. I planted that with just a twig. And then I thought, well, do I remove it now that I got this black lace? But that color combo between the black lace elderberry, the dappled willow, and that, it's going to be really, really sharp. We planted up some rug junipers right here. Eventually, not this year, not next year, and probably not for a while, but eventually this will romance this whole edge right here, and it'll be fun because then you'll see, you know, a little bit of the brown, and then you'll have the green, and I really like that. You can already see we have the dappled willow, or pardon me, the black lace already performing the way I want those rugs to do. Okay, as we make our way back here, this is a I would say non-functional, but I don't have grandbabies, but eventually I will, and this was going to be one space that I really want them to lose themselves in imagination. I want them to forever be a child, right? And so even my kids and everybody who come back here, it's basically a one-way. So you can't not go back any further. Once you hit the fence, you cannot come back any further. So once we get in there, this is more or less, there's a swing back there. So this is more or less an opportunity for an individual or a couple individuals to go back there, and you just kind of, you can sit there in awe or sit there in imagination and kind of guide yourself through whatever your mind initially comes up with. Like I said, I've got an arch that's going to be coming over that, and some more work that we're going to be doing on this in some videos down the road. And then I've got a plaque we're in the middle of making. Those of you who know, we just lost Willow, our little rescue, and she is now running in heaven. And so anyways, we're gonna make some type of plaque. It's either gonna be Willow's Way, Willow's Gate, something fun. But this turned out so nice and so inviting, and so it's unique. And again, I probably wouldn't do this in any other part of the garden. However, this is a space that I don't typically come through, right? Because it's a dead end. So this is all about just capturing your imagination. So those of you who have areas in your garden space that you want to recreate, you can just create a little theme. We went with the Bayou. Okay, so we put these little stones right here. We're going to add some low growing chartreuse colors so it'll really pull out this dark space. You can see right here we have the cardboard. That cardboard is just so it could suppress the grass. This was a grass walkway. Not too long ago, we put the cardboard down. We've had probably 10, 12 inches of rain, it feels like, in May. One night we got 3+ inches in one night, so the drainage kind of just pushed it away. But we'll get back here and kind of fix this area. But you can see this is just so much fun. And at night when the lights come on, it's just magical. And that's basically what we're doing. We got a couple hydrangeas right here. I don't recall the name. I do apologize. If if I remember it, and when I go to edit this video, I'll share that with you. Of course, we have some beautiful hostas here. It's just so inviting. We've got things going on all over this space, and I can't believe we're able to put stuff together like this, and that it just makes it so much fun. And then of course we dot in little artsy fartsy things. We've got a couple little lanterns here we just stuck on post, and it's just fun. And that's basically it is. It just helps kind of tell the story. We've got several things that we'll be doing over the next couple weeks, I suppose, or soon to be weeks, where we're going to be doing some cleanup in this space, and we're going to create something along here so we can block out our neighbors, but it has to stick to this Bayou theme. So I've got some things brewing, but nonetheless, here we are today. Of course, you can see we added all these different stones on both sides leading in. We picked the blue stones so it really stand out. We've got the periwinkle down at the bottom. That's what's flanking both sides. Of course, it's a little messy right now, which is fine. I would rather it be a little bit messy, but it is a little messy because we've got a whole bunch of birds that just frequent our garden, and they're coming in here for a bite to eat, and so they're scavenging through. And this is probably the most crazy I went with doing a whole bunch. I typically don't do that in the garden. We don't dress it up this much, but I thought this would be a fun little nook because it's never actually going to get messed with. Right here we've got a honeysuckle. It's doing really well. It should kind of hedge itself or lend itself to this post right here, and then eventually it'll mound itself up, kind of blocking out the window back there. So many of you had suggested on the video, in order to, cause we talked about this window, so many of you said, hey, paint the frame, you know, purple, and then add some shutters, and that'll really go really well with our theme back here. Still a possibility, just tons of projects going on, and it's just fun to kind of have our imagination sit back and wait, sleep on it, and then if it comes to fruition, it does. So we've got some azaleas. Of course, they're long past their bloom time. You can see here we've got the same hydrangea, and it'll be performing pretty soon. It gets all the evening sun. There's a little window between this last Leyland cypress and the smoke bush right there. It just gets baked, and so the stuff that you would typically want in 6+ hours of sun, it gets at least 6 right back here. So if you're worried or you're wondering how am I growing some of this stuff in the shade, there are pockets and windows that we have created that allow the sun to kind of go through here. If you're wondering, you can feel free to go check on these videos that we put up. These were the Bayou videos, but right here is just something fun. We just put that bike there, and if you can imagine, we've got one more right over here, and if you can imagine, there was just some kids that came down this pathway once they entered the gate, and they followed this pathway, and you can see I kind of lended it back there so it just kind of disappears. But maybe they went back in the marsh and kind of got lost. And so that's, if you're into whimsy and you're into storytelling, and you maybe you've got grandbabies who have an imagination like that, or maybe something they like in the garden, this will kind of rejuvenate or send a new generation into gardening and doing different things in the garden. So that's kind of where I'm at. I just want to get people to know that you don't have to garden all the same way. Every garden's unique, and some of us just think that you have to know all the names. Heck, I've just went past 2 hydrangeas I couldn't even name, but I can tell you that I love doing this stuff, and so in the end I can just go look at a book and go, hey, I know exactly what that is now. So anyway, right back here we just put in this little whimsical thing, dwelling last season, dressed it up. Again, I don't typically get this dressy and this crazy, but I did think, hey, why not add a deck, and why not add a little fireplace? Hey, whoever lives here needs a chair and a little lantern. So this is fun. I think it turned out really well. We did talk about some of this stuff that's growing back here. Of course, this is a smoke bush that we talked about. That's a maple clear up there. And then if you're wondering, this was accidental to the garden. Again, I'm still learning my way around invasive plants and different things. So an individual, when I started this garden, said, hey, I've got a little lilac bush, do you want it? And they gave it to me. So I put it in the ground, and before I knew it, that's one of those invasive honeysuckle bushes, and now it blocks out the neighbors and whatnot, so we just have it in the garden. Shame on me perhaps, but it works. So we've got hostas and lilies, some more periwinkle down here, of course, more hostas. Put in this purple leaf sand cherry right here. Eventually this is going to grow into this space right here and help block out the neighbors. Again, we have something that's going to go right here to block us, that'll fit the bayou. And then of course we have the swing. We still need to dress up the swing. I've got some vines and stuff that we're going to put on here to kind of romance and help stage this area, that dark purple, that New Orleans color that I feel like New Orleans yellow and purples and golds, the green obviously. So maybe I'll throw some beads back here and just really get really whimsical, who knows. But anyways, that'll be for when we have grandbabies. But that swing is actually functional. I sit in that swing and sit back here, and we don't have any mosquito issues just yet, but we will eventually. Here we are, mid-June, and I've only been bit a couple times this season, so not sure what the deal is. We just don't keep stagnant water around. And like I said, on the west side of our property, none of our neighbors come outside. The west side, the east side, however, there is a little bit more movement and a little bit more tentativeness to their gardens, or their property space. So we're going to shut this gate right here. I could spend probably all day talking about this space, but it's fun. You can see we painted the tips the same color that the door to the dwelling is. But if you can imagine, we'll get back here, but if you can imagine for a second, this is going to be just really remarkable space. The more it matures and the more whimsy we add to it. Sometimes less is more. In this instance, I just need a little bit more. And then I didn't mention that, but that's a Japanese maple bloodgood back there. So anyways, that's the bayou. That's a fun little piece. I'm gonna reimagine both sides of that stone and probably lead some stones into here, right down this little slope here. But eventually it will all come together. No garden is ever complete, right? I think that's the one thing everybody can agree on, is that it's never complete. So we've got more things to come. We'll look at our little planters real fast. Like I said, there's nothing special about them, but we did, again, add some of these yellow petunias, and we've got the draping potato vine. Got some purple in here. We just had these from an extra project. We had 3 of them, so I thought, why not add them in here? And then of course, I always like to throw little logs. I got a few more logs that we have off of other spaces, so I toss them in there and just kind of give it a little bit more whimsy. Again, this singular petunia will eventually be much more, but this potato vine, before too long, it'll be clear out here and it'll just soften up the edge to this space. Right up front here on the sidewalk, I do apologize. I don't know how long this video will be. I may have to stop talking so much. But right up here, again, dappled willow. It's really, really sharp. Looks really good. This bald space is only there because I have to keep it trimmed up. We have one little sprinkler head that gets this little death strip between the sidewalk and the street. Above us, we have a beautiful, very nicely shaped eastern redbud. I really like the canopy on that. We were talking about shade on the in the bayou. I can tell you, I'm also pretty impressed that we still get any kind of blooms on the side of the, especially with Shasta daisies who can bake all day long, daylilies who can bake all day long. We've got right here, we've got some variegated lyrope that can bake all day long, but for whatever reason, we just perform okay right here. In fact, I've got heuchera and hostas and stuff that don't like a whole bunch of sun, and so all this stuff is sharing the same space, and we just took a chance on it. So you can see all these planters. Those of you who know, again, sorry if it's redundant, but we picked these up at Nebraska Furniture Mart because inevitably somebody's going to ask us. But those all came from Nebraska Furniture Mart, super cheap. If we would have purchased these at a nursery, we would have paid probably $2,000 total. I think we paid just a little over $200 for them. So if you have the ability or you have the opportunity to get out to Nebraska Furniture Mart, if there's one nearby, I would say go check it out because they have a lot of nice stuff that you can put in the garden. Chimeneas and that type of stuff, which is, I wasn't expecting to go in there for planters. I went in there for something else. So that should tell you they've got a lot going on over there. Right here, we have this blue stone as well that kind of carries its way, and very nice soft swoops right through it. Pardon me, nice swoops right through there. And then St. John's wort, again, it's a yellow color. We've got more yellow, and that's kind of the theme that we're going with this season. I do have one little pocket that died out. Some of you have told me that I can cut that back and it'll come right back up. Again, this is another shrub that can just use all the sunlight that you can give it, and for whatever reason, it does so well right through here. We have a birch tree, multi-trunk birch tree through here. Something special about multi-trunk trees. I really like them. Right here we have a black lace elderberry. Again, you wouldn't expect it to have a good growing habit, but we do, and it's growing up around here. And I really, this space right here, along with the Leyland cypress on the west side, we block out all of our neighbors. So if I was to peek around the corner there, you know, you'll see the whole neighborhood all the way through there. When I put this all together so that we stood back in our property, I'll kind of give you a view from the house, from the actual view. Give me just a second. Trying to keep all the noise from the neighborhood down, so every once in a while we'll give you that pause like we talked about. But you can see here, we only see 3 properties now in front of us, because then we have our Leyland cypress over there. So that's kind of what we're working with. If you have a property that's, you want to get away from the neighbors, start out small, add a couple little those are Hollywood junipers back there, but you can add a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and eventually it'll all come together. I get told all the time on my Instagram channel, which if you're not following us, feel free to, but we have one that's got 1.5 million views, and one that has I believe 3 million views. And some of the comments on there, although they're snarky, but must be nice to have money or whatnot. Guys, we started out small and we didn't even know what we were doing, and so we started out small. You don't have to have a whole bunch of money. You can go and buy small planter pots, small trees. You can go to your local box stores. Some of the stuff that's falling apart, breaking, looks old, needs water, and give it some love. It might not look good that season, but you can definitely get it going the next season. Again, and sorry, I kind of get on that because I wish people knew that it's not as difficult as it looks. So anyway, hopefully I don't get myself in trouble by sharing that. These planters right here, same difference as those planters over there. They come from Nebraska Furniture Mart. Super cheap. I think 60 something for that one, 20 something for those 2 a piece. And then here's where I feel like kind of the magic of the story of the garden kind of takes place. You come back here on this little deck walking path and when we put it in there, it's sitting on what would you call that? Some metal strips that I picked up at a junkyard, and it looked like it was shelving for a box store. Anyways, and then we put that on there, and so you can hear as you walk through the little pathway creaks, and then which kind of gives it starts to tell you, hey, I'm going somewhere special. Maybe that's how I see it. Maybe you see it somewhere else, some other way. These planters we picked up at Family Tree. So this is not the same. These were much more expensive, but we needed them for the space. Of course, we've got a lot of repeat plants. And then I have a bed right here that we're still reimagining. We've started that early in the season. We just haven't got to it, and that's okay. We've got hostas, which is really funny. We talk about this all the time. I got a stilby right here, heuchera, in spots that the rabbits haven't chewed it all up. We've got hostas, and then all of a sudden we have a good flush of lamb's ear, and lamb's ear can traditionally hold a lot of sun and is happier in sun, where these other things are shade loving. So again, at one point. This was all sun, and now we've put in all these trees, and so I could pop this out. We've talked about that plenty of times, just haven't. You'll see the water hose in the background. So what I've done with that water hose is any water hoses that have pretty much are getting ready to be discarded because it's starting to kink and all that stuff, basically just drill little holes into it, and use that as my drip line. So then I just hook the water hose up to it, and it runs through there, close off the back side, and then it's good to go. So if you have a water hose that you're getting ready to get rid of, perhaps take it out in the garden. If you don't have the funds, or you're just looking to stay work cheap, just use your water hose to create a drip line. Again, we've got a lot of beautiful shade loving trees or shade loving plants. And then above us, which is the irony behind this, is we have a double file viburnum, which if you've ever seen those, you can see the old bloom stalks or whatever you want to call them. It was beautiful at one time, early in the spring, but only if you're 7 foot tall do you get to see it, because when I planted this here, it really took off and it really was happy with the space, but I had to limit up so I can get just a little bit of sun back here for the hostas, and just see there's little pockets right here. I just need a little bit of sun to make things happy. So I started limbing that up, and then also creating a little window right through this space so that I could see. Otherwise, you could see it would block the sidewalk or our little pathway through here. So I guess if you're our neighbors or a bird, you basically get to see that. Otherwise, nonetheless, you don't get to see it. But we do have all the leaf petals that fall off, and it's really nice. This is a weeping white pine. It would probably be happy if I took out this dappled the double file, but it's staying right there. It looks good. It's actually happy, and now it's starting to grow upwards, where it was when I purchased it was growing this way. So you can see how it kind of droops down right here. It's a fun piece. In fact, when I first put it in here, it was the only tree back in this corner, and people would walk by and go, why would you pay for that ugly tree? But the funkier the better for me. Up here, another invasive for a lot of people, the trumpet vine. My brother and I drew this arch up, and my brother brought it to life with metal. He works on metal, so this is a nice piece you can see right here, in here, and then it arches up there, and it's holding this trumpet vine. Before you ask, the Johnson County where we live, there's trumpet vine pretty much everywhere, or honeysuckle. So yes, everybody knows about it. Yes, it's very invasive, but nonetheless, we just take advantage of it because it's something that can grow and give me no concerns, no hassles. So it does pop up in other parts of the garden, but we do pull it out and just kind of maintain it. I love the bark structure. We just pull all the leaves off of here, and it's really nice. Now we'll start to kind of get a little wonky with everything we've got going on back here. Probably should have moved the leaf bag. Let me get that. Okay. But yeah, we've got railroad ties down here. That kind of uses a border. Our green giant arborvitae right through here. We got a little Hobbit dwelling right here with a log that I just picked up, and that's how it kind of came about. I saw the log and it had a good arch to it, and I was like, you know what, that's the top of a Hobbit dwelling. So you can see the door there with the little piece of wood that we just made a handle out of. Eventually we'll have a good lighting system here in our garden, and I'll just I'll put some lights in there so it kind of glows at night. And then whoever is living in that home left their wheelbarrow on the side. You can see here we've got a lot, lungswort, got a juga down here, and it'll go across there. I did some work earlier in the season and filled this in with some more dirt and spilled it over. And for whatever reason, I didn't come back, and I guess it was just too deep for that ajuga, which was shocking, but now it's starting to make a comeback. Ferns, more heuchera, some that the rabbits got, some that did not. The azaleas, these were pink. They were absolutely beautiful. Again, I mentioned, if you're not following on our Instagram, feel free to follow Mossy_gardens. think we're looking at like 35,000, 36,000 followers, so that's fun. Again, this is a continuation. This bed right here is a continuation from the front side, and we're just gonna dress this up real nice. Again, planters on both sides of our black wall and our archway to our fun little door. And just painted that up this season. But even though this is not a well-liked vine by most people, it still gives off so much. And you know what? The hummingbirds and everything just frequent our garden. So I know a lot of things get a lot of bad names, and rightfully so, but sometimes just sit back and appreciate things that are in the garden or in neighborhoods anyway, and I think that's fun. So had a bunch of soil there. We had three inches of rain or whatever at once, and so it came off the roof more than the gutters could hold, and it just washed all of it away. Again, we talked about these azaleas, some more honeysuckle all through here. There is a little opening that you can see right through there. That was our pallet wall. I took a bunch of pallets and cut them down several years ago, probably 6 years ago. So this has all happened in 6 years. So on the other side is our hot tub, which is good. Then we have our little pathway. This is kind of what started the whole garden. Our garden was just a big flooded mess, and I put a piece of plywood right here so we could go over there and mow. It was just, if you go to that Instagram, that one that has the 3 million views, it shows the garden just completely underwater before there were trees and shrubs and fences. So again, some of this is redundant, but so many questions will come up from this this tour if it gets some good views, and so I just like to answer as many questions as I can while we're touring through the garden. But a piece of plywood right here, then we would push the mower over. The plywood would sink in the water, and I would almost get the motor and the engine or whatever of the mower into the water. It was so deep right through there. One thing led to another. I needed something sturdier. I was like, I'm gonna build a little bridge over that, and gosh, kind of just took off from there. More planters, same color as the ones that are on the west side of our home, but different from the ones that are at the more of the front landscape. So these all came from the same nursery. We did have a large clump of them right here. We just kind of broke them out throughout the garden. One of my favorite views of the entire property is this view right through here, and I'll kind of pan up every once in a while so you guys can see it. We just put in the rest of this creek because we have a pond back there and a creek right there, and it flows underneath. And so we just was like, you know what, I needed some water movement, I needed some noise, and so this is what we kind of just came up with. So all this area right here is new this season. See, that should lend its hand to the conversation at the front, where you don't have to buy a whole bunch of material and spend a lot of money. All the stones, I actually get kind of a little bit lucky because that is something that is plentiful here in eastern Kansas. Of course, I bought the pachysandra right through here, a 12 pack, and we just added it along this edge. This is a rhododendron that we planted in here that'll look really sharp. Oh, I hear Haster's little hey will be coming around the corner. I can hear her caller. Hey. Oh, looks like she's too exhausted to walk right now. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, we just have different things in the garden that you don't have to go out and purchase to make super expensive decisions. So you can do as your budget allows, I suppose. Hopefully I'm not offending anybody. Don't take that in the wrong way at all. Again, front side of the pallet wall, back side, that's our little wall with all our license plates throughout. Again, some of this will be redundant. Then we have our little planters that we picked up Nebraska Furniture Mart with some gardenias in them. Fire pit project that we're working on. We'll get over to that here in a second. And then I've got to reimagine this space. So for all the beauty that we have, we also have pockets that we still need to do. We added all this soil in this season. And of course, I did not know that I did not dig up all of the lilies, but some of these lilies grew up through all the soil that we put there. And so I have some to dig up once the season comes to an end. Really beautiful, but it's funny because this was supposed to be Hydrangea Hill. Temporary space for until I came up with something new. So this kind of looks like a junk spot compared to everything else we're doing in the garden. But as we get closer and closer to the view that I'm looking for to share with you guys, isn't this gorgeous? I share this view a lot on our Instagram as well. It's just such a fun spot because no matter what part of the day you come through, all the trees and the shade lines and the sun all work to give you a different view, a different feel throughout the garden. So more planters, much of the same that we had on the front side. Again, our little pathway right through here. A lot of you ask where I got these stones from. I just picked them up at a local rock place, and these were just off to the side. I just offered them some money, they took it. Some have suggested that those were bags of rocks at one time, so could be, I don't know. If so, then I should start mimicking that a lot more because it's a very, very nice piece. Got some white, those white hydrangeas back there are Annabelle hydrangeas. We got succulents. These are pistachio hooker, I believe. We've got a happy little mess of succulents right through here. Probably some want a little bit more sun. I would assume this one, and I'm just going based off of that because it doesn't look the happiest. But then we have some blooms on our purple leaf plant, which I'm surprised because it doesn't get very much sun. But we've spent an extensive amount of time this spring reimagining this space right through here, and we added a lot. We added 2 Japanese blood goods right through here. One here on this side, one here on that side. Of course, we put in this little fence to kind of carry the weight. Oh my gosh, look at this. Hey, you all right, buddy? You exhausted? She's so adorable. Got these wagon wheels from my brother who lived in North Dakota at the time. We've got some ferns and some hostas, some more heuchera, and then all of a sudden we've got some sun-loving lilies right here on the back side of the moongate. We'll make our way around and we'll look through the moongate here shortly. We've got sedum, periwinkle. You can see some of the periwinkles blooming. And we've got a hey. We've got sedum in here. Some orange rocket barberry right through here. What else? We've got this whole space right down here. Like I said, we've been working on it. That is ajuga. I could imagine a time when it's going to play so well with our little orange rusted down bike that some little kid had dropped off for the very, very last time, and now it's here in our garden. But I like to think that it was dropped off right there a long, long time ago. So we've already done a Chelsea chop on a lot of our autumn joy sedum. I may have to do it again. Maybe I didn't go low enough, but I don't want them to flop over on the barberry because that is our last bloom. I believe that's our last blooming anything in the garden. So I need that to perform the way it does, but also too, I don't want it to kind of block off everything else. This is a contorted filbert. It's not as beautiful as it is when it's shed all of its leaves. Then it's an absolutely gorgeous piece. It has a ton of funky vines and movement throughout its structure, and so it holds a whole lot of snow and gives you just some interest during the winter time. So I said vines, but a vining habit. It kind of looks, you know, kind of viney. Let me pick up a branch here up against that so you can see here. See how it's just kind of contorted, as mentioned. Then we have a whole bunch of just shade-loving plants throughout here. We had that massive amount of rain that came at once, and this Annabelle kind of drooped over right here and just never really came back up, which it's okay. It is what it is. I could add something in here to help it out next season so they don't. But then you can see we have a little bird bath back there. Right here underneath these little boxes. Those are there because they have little utility towers under there. Probably not supposed to do that at all, but now we got new. Nobody has a landline anymore in our neighborhood or where these things go, and the internet that used to be used through there is no longer used through there. So these actually probably could be dismissed, but I just have little boxes right there. And just so for good sake, you can see down in there, that's what they look like. I typically have a planter on top of that. That's what that is. Okay, we'll probably have a little bit of pause. So they just let their little dogs out. Anyway, another good view right through here. And it's fun because as we go through, you might see the birds flying through. We have birds that just frequent this garden, and we have nests everywhere, and it's just fun. Of course, now that I say that, probably nothing will come through, but you can see here just the way the shadow lines have made this view different than the view that you had over there. It's just, I absolutely love it. But yep, it's a good view, a good opening spot, just kind of resting once you go through all of the different layers that we've gone through. And then you get to this opening space. It's kind of fun. You just have to follow the channel if you're not already, to kind of give you some idea of the mindset behind the way we're creating this garden. Then my brother and I created these little metal planters. They're elevated on one little 2x2 post, all connected, all metal. And then we just do different things. This typically, heuchera off to the side, wouldn't have been something I typically do. The grass probably would have been enough. The juga on the sides probably would have been enough. All three of these different perennial plants could possibly be enough, but I wanted to see the face and kind of give it a haircut, I don't know. So that's kind of how we came about. There's faces on the sides, all different. But anyways, it looks like it's got a little mohawk, and that's how that came about. So little wonky thinking, I know. Of course, you'll see in the background, if you're not familiar with the channel, we have a ton of lighting that we created last season, maybe 2 years ago. And then we have lights that follow you throughout this space right here. Good fun stuff. The tree above us, there's 3 of them. They're birch trees right through here. And so that's where you see the canopy. I'm leaving this down for now. It's just fun to kind of come through here. If you're walking through a very wooded area, you would tend to duck your head and move, and things are branching across your body, and kind of, that's kind of what this is. Not too crazy, but it's still, nonetheless, it's a little bit overgrown, where it just kind of lends its hand to the idea that when you come back here, you're somewhere completely different other than a suburban backyard. Let's see, we've got a lot going on. I probably stopped naming plants because I'm running my jaws. We've got some more hosta, obviously. We have a Colorado blue spruce. This will obviously get huge. However, I'll just mold it into the space that makes me most happy and most desirable to give me a still good view of everything that's going on in this space. So again, we put something in here with a whole different color scheme than everything we got going on. It kind of stands out, and then it really looks good against some of the things that are right beside it, like that bloodgood that you can probably see just a little bit of window of it. We'll get to that shortly. Of course, then we built this little shed. When I have grandbabies, they'll take over. Right now, we put an AC unit in it. We'll go in there here in a second, because now I need to talk about something completely different, but we put a little AC unit on it, a little desk in there, and we'll open the door real quick and kind of share it with you. And then I had my daughter order this off of Amazon for me. It is faux, it's fake vines, but I thought, man, let me just purchase one and see what this will look like, because we have a little climbing rose right there, but it's going to take a little bit of time before it goes up that hog wire. We put that hog wire in there because we had a different idea. We had some clematis that was growing up it, but it just wasn't doing the job. It wasn't working. So we removed it. I put a climbing rose, and now I'm like, I just have this blank facade here and it doesn't look so well. So anyway, I thought, well, what can I just add to this space to make it look good? So we went on the internet. I found this on Amazon. And so I'm probably going to do this all over this tree, or all over this this front facade. I think it'll look good until the time comes that this rose bush or climbing rose gets on here. Of course, we created these beautiful little window boxes. Got some petunias, some creeping jenny. It just looks really good. The windows are real low, and on the chicken coop, as well as this, and probably something else that's going to be a reimagined space that's going to be reimagined. We're just staying really low because I think that'll be fun for our grandbabies' imagination, and as well, I like to think whoever's living back here, because we have such a small garden space, it can't be normal size. So I thought this would help scale it down to where you can fit a whole bunch more in there and it doesn't look as gaudy. So hopefully that does the trick. This window's no more than 3 feet off the ground. I don't know if you can tell that. And then you have to duck to get in to this little doorway right here. Of course, we put in this project earlier in the season. We got a stone with some vine that goes around. We'll get that up and growing. We transplanted this hydrangea from a spot in the front garden underneath those Leyland cypress that was not getting enough sun. Hopefully it blooms. I don't know if it's getting enough sun here or not. It'll get evening sun only. Of course, then we just planted a little bird feeder in there and just called it good. Up here at the top, behind these little window spaces, we have purple heart plant. Eventually that'll cascade down. I think that'll be a cute little addition. I keep looking up there. I keep thinking a turtle dove or something's gonna nest up there, but nothing just yet. And then we had two viewers that came to look at the garden that are kind of local. One's about 15-20 minutes from here, and one is in Missouri. Nonetheless, they both know each other. They showed up, and one of them brought gifts. And so she brought these little buckets right here on this belt. And so we just created this little piece right here, and I think it just turned out so well. We've thanked them a million times. And then as you go in here, again, we still got to create what we're going to be doing in here. I've got some grass, some fake grass, then the little desk in there. That desk came from my wife's grandparents who have now passed, but that's a little piece to them, and we're just going to keep that thing a little alive in our family. So anyway, it's a mess in disguise. We will be planting that up shortly, or getting that all cleaned up in there and reimagine that. But I'm waiting until I'm doing as much projects out here in the garden during the season that I can be out here. But once it gets either scalding hot or really cold, that's when I start to move into these structures. And then I can recreate that space. So might as well leave it for inside. We haven't yet got to the other side. I know the video's starting to kind of stretch, but we've got right here Japanese bloodgood. Of course, we've done a lot of the different things in the garden. We've got these rose bushes right through here that I planted up. I'm not sure if I should have. Some of you helped me when we planted these up. I still have 300 different names that you've given me, and no two names are the same. So just wild roses is what we call them. These will be yellow when they bloom. Of course, we'll see. I've been kind of pulling them out, but I started with 3 plants. I got like 10 now. So that should help you decide what that name is. I don't know. I've even Googled it on my phone, whatnot. It just, every time it gives me something different. We've got a nice little flush of creeping jenny. Of course, I've had a ton of hooker right through here. For whatever reason, that's a happy little pocket for rabbits that just continue to eat up that space right there. Otherwise, that should just be a flush, gorgeous looking piece right there. Then we planted up Then we parked in some more hardscape. We put in this little fence rail during the early spring. It's really coming together. On this side, people always ask, this is barberry, golden barberry. We have a little bird bath in here that we drilled holes and put in some more succulents. Just good stuff happening all the way around. This is a project we are working on. In fact, most of you who probably seen Mossy Gardens pop up on the screen today thought this was the finished product. We are almost done with those. You should see the video Monday morning. But right here, we went out and purchased these posts for $5 a post from some older gentleman that is selling his property off. Anyways, he's getting rid of a bunch of stuff, and that's how it ended up in our garden. Right here, we have a quick fire hydrangea, 2 of them actually, and so they should get towering. Should come over here a little bit and kind of flirt with the edge of our pathway through here. One of the big questions, of course, that we always get asked, what are these? These are Taylor junipers. Of course, down below we've got hydrangeas, shade-loving hydrangeas all along the edge right here. Some of them that we just transplanted this season, they're already transitioned in really well. Of course, then on the bottom we've got ground covers that I think are going to spill over. In fact, we've got some already starting, and it'll soften up this hardscape. And if you can imagine, we'll have pieces of the hardscape that you can see on these posts, and then some that you won't, because it'll be covered over. And I think that will go a long ways to making this garden look a lot older than it really is. Sometimes I get too excited and I'll turn the camera way too fast. So chickens, guys, everybody keeps asking, which is a good question, but you might miss it on other videos. July 1st, chickens will either ship or arrive July 1st. My wife's trying to figure out that information, but either way, by the 4th of July, we will have chickens. They will start in our house with us. We'll be in a little swimming pool, and we'll just a little dry swimming pool, of course, one of those little kiddie pools. We want them to be pets, but this is where they're going to stay. We've got a lot going on in the garden. Someone private messaged me who had missed out on a lot of the information. I created this a post earlier in the season that asked for help with what I was missing. Feel free to go back and look at that. It's of the chicken coop. It says, I believe the name of the actual post was Chicken People Need Your Help or something along those lines, because we can look on the internet all day long, but it's good to have feedback from the people who enjoy our channel too. So some of you are able to give us some information and feedback as far as like hardware, cloth, and what works and what doesn't. But there's a lot that we've got going on our little Hobbit coop, I suppose. Of course, you can see here we've got some hydrangeas and some boxwoods and some lyrope and lanterns and bridges and benches. It's just a fun little garden. I've got this climbing rose that we just planted in here, the bloom that I just knocked all the leaves off of. But if you can imagine, that's going to grow down this pathway, and it'll be really nice looking. Again, some may say, hey, you probably shouldn't do that because if it has thorns. But you got to imagine that whatever we're creating here, we're learning, right? So we're learning as we go along, and if it doesn't work out, we have to put a sign up that says don't touch it when we have tours or whatever it is. Caution. But we just have a little bit of space, so we have to, in order to pack in all the things that we want, we just have to, sometimes we have to live with the results. Right here we have a honeysuckle that will grow over this little arch. Again, this little moongate arch space actually mimics the moongate over there. I called it a moongate, but what it's technically supposed to be like a little Hobbit entrance. We can't have roosters. Again, some of this information is redundant, but you can still enjoy the view of the garden. But that we can't have roosters, so that's the only rooster we can have on the property. Of course, we have railroad ties that lead into this. We won't go back there today because we just got a lot. I've already got 54 minutes in this video, but Then we have little bird houses that aren't actually bird houses, but that's what we say they are. We just created them. So just little things that we like to do here in the garden. Another view of the space, but from a different area. Really fun garden space through here, all from just imagination and some other videos to watch, learn about this type of stuff, but no background, no horticultural background, no family upbringing, nothing like that. We've just created this all because of a silly little water issue that we didn't know that we had. We've got little Hobbit dwellings everywhere, and we've got some clematis. This is the clematis that we moved from over there, and it's just in the right little pocket. Of course, when I moved it over here, it was already growing tall, so it's just kind of leaning over this space. I think it actually looks charming. But next season, when I cut this back to the ground, and it'll grow up. Again, this should be more full. If you go to the Instagram, you will see videos of this in past that this was just an absolutely glorious spot. However, the rabbits have just done a number on these heuchera this season. It's very frustrating, but you got to live with it. Caladiums, hostas, it's just fun back here. And another viewer met me and gifted me these ferns next season. Of course, they were already growing in her garden, so once we moved them over here, they're resting and kind of leaning. But next season, as long as I'm able to keep these alive, will just be absolutely beautiful. Still need to fix the pond, haven't got to that, but that should fill up with water, spill over, and help create our waterfall effect. That's what the two containers are, the spray foam. We just continue to have so much rain that that space has to be dry, and so do the stones, but we just continue to have rain, which is not a bad thing. I'll take it, because next month or so I'll be able to do that. All I want, because we will be begging for rain. Irises down here on the bottom, more ajuga. We got serendipity alliums right here that would rather be in a much happier space. In fact, I probably need to get those out pretty soon and get them in a space that will be happier. We got a tiger's eye sumac. Does it spread? Yes. As the number one question on that. In fact, I'll get to a spot where there are some. In fact, here's some more right there. We just pull them out, snap them, and they're good. Some more hostas. This is ivory halo dogwood right through here. Then we got another Japanese maple that kind of comes through our bridge area. Another bridge. I think we've got 5 bridges total. Our lighting fixture picks up on this side as well, so it flanks both the east and west, but not the north and south. We wanted it to kind of look like as you walk through there, you're walking into something different. Right here by Grandma's bench, we've got some ferns, some boxwoods, more ajuga, and then we got a little stepway right through here. As you look up, that's another Japanese maple. Then we have a lot going on in our little pond here, or not so little. I think this is 20 by 16. Like I talked about on the back side, that water should spill over and then spill into here. Right now we just have it running there because we need water movement so it doesn't get stagnant and the mosquitoes don't move in. We did fill in this with about $10. I think it was 40 some fish, 40 some goldfish. A lot of you have asked when we had, feel free to go look at that video last week, I think it was, but the garden had flooded again from all the homes because we had those 3 inches of rain, so nothing I could do about it. We've managed to work with this garden space as much as possible to not flood, but when there's 3 inches of rain, 3 inch plus rain, there's very little I could do, and so the garden did flood. Feel free to go and look at that video. I believe it was last week, and my son was able to capture, he was home, so he was able to come out here and videotape. This was all underwater. He's walking through the water, you can see his feet. And anyway, the reason why I'm telling you that is the pond filled up with water past its breach point, and so more than likely all the fish just followed downstream, which this is the beginning of downstream, right through here, through this little beautiful piece. And then if you can imagine, we were on the other side when we entered the backyard. That's that little creek space that we created over there just to continue the water flow so it looks like it's all one unit. So that's what that is. This is an Arizona blue cypress, I believe. The pyramid. If you're asking, is there a dead branch in there? There absolutely is, but we still have a nest or two up there with occupants, so I haven't cut those out, but that tends to happen. I think these are low zone 6, maybe 5. I could be wrong on that. If I catch that whenever we redo the video or look over the video, I will throw up the actual zone for that. Then we have right here, back up a little bit, we have another one of our burgundy colored trees that we are, or shrubs that we're adding into the garden just so it continues to break up all the greens and natural colors of the garden space. The water is coming together quite well. It was a little bit mucky because of all that rain that washed any debris and soil from the neighbor's garden into our yard. So we've got a lot. This is a really good look through here. We just planted up these planters. Feel free to go and check those out. There goes another bird. Then we have the canopy of another red bud right through here. And then of course, the most iconic part of our garden is the moongate. That's kind of how a lot of you started following this channel, was because of the moongate. So we have this little pocket, and then I'll go up on the porch. Actually, let me just do that now. So we have a garden within a garden, so to speak. So when we come up here and sit down, you can hear the fan in the background. It's where I'm working on our project that is the little bird cages. Feel free to get caught up if you haven't, but this is our garden space. So we have multiple garden spaces throughout, right? Got our east garden that you can sit there and look at all day long. That's the bridge area. Then you have the west garden, which is the bayou. And then of course you can sit right here and you can't even see all the dwellings in the background. So this is a whole nother garden. And you have your ponds and your creeks and all your noises that are on this side. And then there's something that pulls you in, right? That pathway right through there is just something, if you've never been to the garden, you want to explore. And so those light fixtures that we built, again, those, I think last year and this year we updated it. So feel free to go check those out if you'd like, but man, it really draws you in, and it just begs you to go back there, your curiosity, especially if you haven't been to the garden. Of course, the deck above us, I could get a view up there, but I'm gonna try to manage my time as much as possible. I just like to think this is such a unique garden that sharing everything with you in one video it's tough, but man, I love sharing the garden, especially for somebody who didn't know what he was doing in the beginning. So yeah, so this space right here, we're gonna come up with something else. Again, all this was underwater not too long ago, but when we first started the garden, this was completely underwater anytime it rained, even half an inch of rain. And we've managed it, but once we get to the 3-inch rain mark, there's just nothing I can do about it. We've got lyrope underneath our Japanese maple. We've got hostas all through here, a little stepping stone that goes in. It just gets just a little bit of sun, but you can already start to see we're starting to get a green tone to it. Oh gosh, I love the green tones and moss, and I think that's a whole nother part of a garden. And especially with the hardscape that's down here, it just gets a little bit of sun each day, but just enough that it's allowing the moss to grow and build up, but at the same time, it still gets a little bit of sun. So it's just really fun garden, I tell you that much. Here's another one of our bird cage pieces. Again, if you haven't checked out the bird cage videos and you're wondering and you're brand new to the channel, whatever, jump on there and check those out. Those are coming together so awesome, and I think it fits what we're doing here in this little Hobbit village, or whatever kind of village you want to talk about. Here's our little bridge that leads over outside of the grassy area, with flanking both sides of that bridge is Baptisia. We've got salvia right through here. We've got just a ton of different things, man. I could sit here and just name stuff all the time. Sedum and lamb's ear and hydrangeas, and It's just a gorgeous, gorgeous look right through here. And then of course you can see we have the post on the other side. So it's a whole nother garden on this side versus that side. We've planted up a ton of different ground covers that are going to spill over these stones. You can see right here, we've got some more creeping Jenny. That's fun. Just got a gay feather back there. And we've had a lot of rain, so a lot of this stuff is kind of drooping down. The cat vent. Yeah, it's just a lot. Isn't it fun? This is just fun, a fun garden. Yeah, so the garden's coming along so well. It just makes me happy to know that we've created this with just absolutely zero knowledge, and then here we are today. I feel like I know a lot more than I did, and now that water woke up that water issue that we had just woke up something in me, and maybe it was all designed. Maybe this home that was supposed to be flipped and us moved, it was all designed. There was a higher power, but I'm so glad that it actually happened, because we are living an absolute dream here in this garden space. Anyways, friends, as usual, if you're not following, please follow. If you haven't shared, please share. If you haven't hit the like, please like. And if you've never left a comment and that's not your style, give me a thumbs up, or even go into your emojis and give us a thumbs up or something. And we appreciate all the feedback, and we appreciate you guys following us. And sorry it turned into such a long video, but I do appreciate all the kind things that are happening here in the garden, and the feedback that you guys give us. So anyway, we will see you folks on the flip side. Bye-bye now.